So there's something called guilt by association, and people like to apply it to everybody else but themselves when it comes to negative connotations. But positive connotations, well, that's rare. And I think it happens with video games too. And Bloober Team is all the rage right now because of Silent Hill 2 and the remake being phenomenal. I've seen people with takes like, well, it was easy because Silent Hill 2 was already a massive success and already a beloved game, so all they had to do was remake it. But I would argue that it's much harder to take a game like Silent Hill 2, like a game that's beloved, and remake it because people are just waiting to tell you what you did wrong. And I think the success of Silent Hill 2 and Bloober Team is something that should be commended. It's not something that should be downplayed. But associating games with certain platforms can be negative, and when you look at the medium, which I'm playing here, when the medium was first announced, it was less about the team, less about the game, and more about the fact that it was coming to Game Pass, or the fact that it was a big Microsoft game, and everything centered around that, as opposed to what this team had done in the past, and how they were slowly building themselves into the type of developer that tackles horror games in a much different way than we've seen for a long time, a psychological style of horror games, which is why now I can see why they were choosing to do Silent Hill 2, when in the past maybe I was kind of a bit tentative when they chose Bloober Team. But I have to tell you, associating the medium with Xbox, and more importantly Game Pass, because like I said, it was less about the game or even what the game was going to be about or what it was doing or the character or the story. It was just about, hey, here's a big game and it's coming to Game Pass, so let's hype it up, as opposed to just take a look at what it actually is, look at what the developer's actually done, and judge it based on that. So I went back and I played it on the PlayStation 5. I'm playing it now. Let me tell you, this is not a bad game. This is not a AAA game. This is not a single A game. This is squarely in the AA space, and it is not terrible. Now, it takes advantage of the PlayStation 5 in many different ways. The graphics engine is enhanced a bit. It looks better. It plays better than it did when it launched on the Xbox and Game Pass. It takes advantage of the DualSense controller. And I feel like the association with Xbox, and in particular Game Pass, because it isn't necessarily Xbox, but this idea that if something is in Game Pass, it must be better than if it wasn't in Game Pass. I think the medium suffered greatly because of that association. And if you don't believe me, well, go back and play the game now, or pick it up on the PlayStation 5 if you're interested in the DualSense controller and how it is an additive feature to games. This is definitely one of those titles that I think benefits from being on the PlayStation 5. And if you want to talk about association and just negatively with Xbox, take a look at Concord. Concord suffered from positive praise even before anybody even touched it, simply because it was associated with PlayStation. And PlayStation usually doesn't miss, but they did big time with this one. But that association convinced everyone that the game must be absolutely, positively fantastic. So I feel like association sometimes can be very, very positive or very, very negative. But how you can combat that is simply just play video games. Don't wait for whether or not something is included in your favorite subscription service or if it's coming to your favorite brand exclusively. Play the game. Look at the developer. Look at what they've done in the past. Look at the iterative steps that they've taken to get to where they are and judge it accordingly. I think that is much more of a safe way to review or critique a game than simply saying, well, this is a big game and it's in Game Pass, that must equal quality. Oh, here's a game, it's announced exclusively for PlayStation, they never miss, so this must be a home run. Association is a funny thing. And for the medium, and I wanted to talk about this game because now Silent Hill 2 is absolutely incredible, and it's Bloober Team, and nobody thought that they would be able to do it. And with Chronos coming, I think people are starting to open their eyes to the fact that a developer can start off small, make games that are kind of okay, Blair Witch, then go on to Layers of Fear, which is absolutely amazing. It's an amazing horror game. And then go to the medium, which was very good. It's not great. It's got problems, but it is not trash, like you see a lot of people saying, and then instantaneously remake one of the greatest horror games of all time and do it in a way that doesn't piss anybody off. doesn't destroy the source material. I mean, think about this. They had to find ways to create new areas in Silent Hill 2 that were not available in the original game, somehow make them cohesive to the story, and then loop back around to the actual game that you're used to playing or you've played in the past. This is not an easy task. This was a monumental task and one that they pulled off. So I think that the association early on with Xbox and Game Pass hurt Bloober Team. I do. And I feel like they've redeemed themselves. And if you check out the medium now on the PlayStation 5, I think you'll be surprised. I think you might just find that it's pretty interesting. It has some unique gameplay mechanics. Yes, it has some issues, but it is not the game that you see other people saying it is. And I think that association hurt it, much in the same way that the praise for Concord hurt it being on PlayStation. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.